Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to another stream. Today, we're going to do some work on character design for comics and stuff. Specifically, I think we're going to look at... Oh, I need to turn off the sound. Keep doing things on too many things. Specifically, looking at character design for villains, monsters, that sort of stuff, all the baddies that we've got in our stories. So we can talk a little bit about what we got up to yesterday in yesterday's stream, which was this here. So we were working on some studies of different comic pages and looking a little bit about visual storytelling. And this was a page from Paul Pope's Spider-Man one-shot comic from the early 2000s, and we did a couple of studies. So if you wanted to have a look at that, you can check the VODs all on YouTube here, and some small clips and stuff which go up periodically on there as well. Today we're going to be looking at another comic just to get some ideas for villains, characters, and how other professional artists deal with these sort of character designs. So today I got a comic off my shelf that I want to have a look at, this is a trade of The Phantom Road, which is written by Jeff Lemire, and Gabriel Walter is the artist. And I picked it out because I really, really love the designs of these sort of baddie zombie-esque, they're not really zombies, but sort of mud people sort of things that are going on. So I really like the designs of those characters. So what I did was I scanned some of the pages in, and we're gonna pull a few up today and have a little look at them and see what we can sort of take our way from them and from our own ideas, and design some of our own characters based on that. So I'm going to start off with, I really liked this figure here. I just really liked this really interesting shadow shape that was placed on it, which is this whole, it's kind of got this very almost Magnolia-esque feel. It's just kind of what drew me to originally buying this comic in the first place. I really kind of enjoyed the art style. It's got an interesting storyline too, so I love Jeff Lemire's writing in these books, and also the art is fab too. And then this blocking shape was a bit in the way, but this whole area is kind of one shadow shape, which I think kind of is what Walter is achieving on a lot of these. They're just focusing really on these large shapes. It's mastoid muscle here, and even here with this actually kind of two-tone. This is a bit of a lighter shade than this on there. I think the colorist did a really, really good job of sort of getting a bit more three-dimensionality out of the color work on there. But I do really like that sort of it's no sort of stretched and sort of squashed idea for characters. So I'm gonna pull up a few references for myself, and then try and see if we can achieve a similar sort of idea with our own designs and studies here. So see how everyone's doing. If you're filtering in, and if you're new, my name's Callum, and I'm a comic book artist, currently writing and working through my first comic book, Fruit, which is hopefully going to be published at the beginning of next year. And I thought that whilst I'm busy making these things behind the scenes, that I would share a little bit of the process and what it is, sort of just to get your start in comics and drawing and designing characters and things like that as well. We've got a Discord community as well. Discord should be in the link of the bio of this video, and you can join there. We sort of share all the stuff from the stream that we're working on, but also share any other work that you're doing, writing ideas, just sort of general critique stuff where, we're not, just being all a good community and helping everyone out with their different ideas and stuff of what they've got for their own comics. So we're all big into making indie books and different sort of stuff on there as well. So if you have any interest in that, you can follow the link below, and that should take you to it. I try and post most of the stuff that goes up on the streams on there as well, and a little bit of the behind the scenes of what I'm working on, sort of with Fruit and the ongoing stuff on there. Unfortunately, there will be a point where I'll have to hide it from the stream because I don't want to spoil too much of the story that I've been working on. So at some point we will have to be doing things like this where we're just studying from other this quite straight angle here actually is quite nice. It's even thinner than that. It's like much more further down here, and this cheekbone is really quite pronounced. It's almost like a really high shape as well. It's wide ears, and then rounding out the top there. I think what's interesting is they're not too adhering to, and there's a lot of the rendering is where we're getting the sort of three-dimensionality, and it's really kind of unsettling the shapes on there and the shape language that's being used. So super slender in terms of its designs and attributes, which I think sort of contribute to that unknowing and sort of fearful idea that you want from our villains. I think she needs to come a bit further in. As I say, I should have warmed up a bit more before this stream, but have yet to do any warming up. I was out buying Christmas presents today because we're getting to that time of the year, so usually try and do a few warm-ups before the start of the stream, but we'll be doing this one on the fly today and sort of seeing how we get on. Hey man, how you doing, Christus? If you drop by again, thanks for stopping in. Oh, a Christmas present for you. Oh, well, you'll have to wait and see. Should do a Christmas stream. It'd be quite good fun. Or Christmas portfolio reviews or something like that. I know that a few people mentioned about kind of portfolio stuff, and maybe I can't attest to being an expert on these things, but kind of helping each other out a little bit and getting people's work out there and showing it on stream, and how we can all learn and improve together would be quite a fun little idea. But yeah, I'm trying a lot in my own work to really push with shape as well. I think it's one of these things where out of art school I was so locked into the rigors of how representational art looks and what characters should look like, and rules of thirds and God knows what else, that I really kind of needed to loosen up, and I wasn't able to get that sort of, everything felt quite rigid in my work. So I really like it when I get the opportunity to find an artist like Gabrielle here, who's just really pushing for some really unique designs and shapes, which I really, really love. Quite like this little one here as well, this little side little one here. You can maybe have a little warm up on this guy as well. It's quite an interesting shape where he's got that brow ridge kind of being taken in, and this would be the eye socket. So you would usually have a character that's kind of like this, and then where the cheekbone is protruding here, got this little shape, and then obviously the cheekbone goes back on the skull. So I can even think about a skull quickly. So you've got the shape, the cheekbone kind of sits. Ignore my awful skull shape. This is your cheekbone, and then this gap here exists, and that's what we're representing with this little curve. Is try and see if I can get a good idea, a bit better. What we're representing here, if you had like another sheen, is this gap between the jawbone and the cheekbone is what we're hinting at with this little shape pattern here. So that gives a little bit of the underlying anatomy, which I think is quite cool. Reminds me a lot of there's a Mobius panel that has quite a lot of the similarities. It's like I think it's from Edna, and it's one of the characters finds like a head on a pike. It kind of has like this side-on panel that looks like this, and then there's a lady here, and she's looking at a chap or someone's head. Oh, that's too small, but it's like this, and then there's like the head is on a pike, but it's kind of decaying a little bit, and there's little bits falling off it. She's kind of like investigating it, and then there's all the Mobius high horizon line. And the shape comes down. I think it's something like this. But yeah, this panel is what this one reminds me of, when I saw it. It's interesting how they're sort of mixing these shadow shapes with also physical line rendering as well. I'd actually love to see what this work looks like just in the black and white without the colours underneath. I think it would be super interesting, like how much of this detail is actually coming through in the line work itself. Right, that's this, and then maybe some of the little kind of weird marks. You've got this neck kind of shape, which is implying kind of mastoidy sort of muscle shape, which would be this muscle here, which would originally connect to your just behind your ear, this point here. But I think that's what we're kind of highlighting with that little curve, is where mastoids joining in to the skull. So it seems that a lot of it is about representation of having at least some underlying anatomy that is what we're looking at, but at the same time kind of pushing it so that horizon line that it feels a little bit more organic. This is Gabriel Walter, and it is from a comic called, let me grab up on here, The Phantom Road. This is the trade issue that I have. It's written by Jeff Lemire, and Gabriel does the artwork. And it's this amazing kind of future thriller about truck drivers, and it's a bit of a weird one, but it's definitely worth reading. I really enjoyed it. I think the first trade and maybe the second is out, or coming out soon. But yeah, I would definitely recommend picking it up, because it's definitely been one of the more enjoyable ones that I've read recently. I'm trying to think about this head shape, really simplifying it down his neck, and his head shape kind of falls into a wider shape there as well. But this is really, because part of me wants to just immediately start drawing through things. It's very good. It's definitely I don't know how popular it was, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's... might have lost my chat there for a second. Let me have double check on that. There we got you. It was maybe come out beginning of last year. I kind of picked it up for the art. I kind of spotted it and wanted to give it a go, and I really enjoyed it. So thought I'd have a little study from it today, whilst we kind of look at doing our own ideas a little bit later on in the stream. This shape for the body, and then we would have the hips, and then he's got a really pronounced I don't know what you call the muscle, but effectively where your hip bone is connected to the hip there, you've got a little protrusion, and it kind of cuts in before the leg muscle kicks out again. That's why you see this sort of shadow pattern that gets put over the top here, and then we're cutting in again. So all of this, even up to here, round, he's really heavy on this shape. A little bit of an opening for the elbow, and then round some sort of hand semblance thing that we'll add a little bit later on. Interestingly, there's a lot of detail that's being put in here as well, which I think is maybe something that someone like Mignola would choose to just completely black out, but Gabriel here has chosen to sort of let it run and colour it sort of, I think it gives a really unique and textured look, which I'm enjoying quite a lot down to this. Yeah, that's the old Big Mike saying. I think, I think it holds certainly true for quite a lot of comics. But I do think you can definitely over egg the blacks. It's pretty. I don't know if you were around for yesterday's stream, but we went through a Paul Pope page that was, he was quite renowned, still is, for really heavy black work and inks, and on this one here, and actually it was interesting about how focused his inks were to just really key areas to sort of try and push the contours and shapes of there as well. So rather than running this whole section in black, he was really strategic in using the blacks to sort of draw your line of sight around the page. Chris, if you should be a VOD of it up on the channel, if you wanted to have a look and catch up and see what we were up to. I think for the first 2 minutes I'm on mute, so it's always a good one. I think even on this stream I managed to leave the chat, my pop out of the stream playing as well, so eventually I'll get one right. And then there's the other character or wherever he is, sort of try and blast him in. Something like this, and then he's got his little checkered coat. I think I'm probably drawing that whole thing on a bit of a skew there. And then down, this is where they've got this kind of competing shadow shape, not super sure on, but that knee's probably a bit too low, but something along the lines of that. Even down at the bottom here, this other one's really cool as well. We've got, let's do this one, make it a bit smaller. And maybe have a bit more structure underneath, and then work out how I'm gonna sort of modify it a bit later on down the line. It's a nice sort of gesture into that shoulder shape there. You can really see the sort of confident anatomical shading, which I think is really cool on these characters, and then that goes round. So it goes up there, and then even going round here, mouth, kind of up to this nose shape, which is all crooked and down, socket for the eyes, and then forehead shade round on there. And then just bash a lot of these in. But yeah, today's going to be a bit more of a chilled stream, just sort of sitting and drawing for a little bit rather than, pushing through a crazy amount of work. Just sort of, taking it a little bit easier for the beginning of the week. Try and not exhaust ourselves too much. This sort of ribcage shape I think is super nice. And then these like big elbow front kind of whatever the panel gets cut off here. So always cutting them with this figure as well. So it's massive dark shape. No, I'm not a huge amount of a comics follower. Football follower. I used to when I was younger, but not a huge Premier League chap now. Dan, the comic that we are looking at is The Phantom Road by Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Walter. It's a kind of future post-apocalyptic sort of story, but what we're trying to look at today is something that I really like, which is Gabriel's character designs for these villains. So they've got these sort of almost melting like sort of clay men figure sort of things, and what I really enjoyed was just these super bold shadow shapes that they put in there, and then also kind of how they've pushed the anatomy quite a lot to try and get that sort of otherworldly feel, but also try and keep it representational. And things that we've seen on here is like, little indications of anatomy, but it's a little bit wonky. So if I jump back to what we've been working on, as you can see, taking a few peeks from the book itself. I've got the book up here. I've taken a few panels. These really large shadow shapes that are being used on there. Yeah, the art is really, really cool. And then we're kind of studying a little bit of the few panels, and then also these characters here, and hopefully we can then go on to maybe a little bit of a design of our own later on in the stream, see how we get on with that. But what I was saying is, some nice little indications of little bits of underlying anatomy. So like this little kind of shape here, this sort of shadow shape that goes down and around, and then over the bridge of the nose, this kind of shape on the face that is here is kind of alluding to that, is alluding to the sort of underlying structure of the skull, where your cheekbones right here would sort of cave in, and gives you the thing. Yeah, you would say, Dan, they do look like zombies, but I'm not gonna spoil it to you, because actually this comic is more recent than some of the ones we've been looking at. We did on yesterday's stream, we looked at a Spider-Man from Paul Pope, and that's about 20 years old comic. So I could give a little bit more spoilers on that one, but this one I think you can still buy from your local comic shops. So I definitely would go recommend that. But whether they are or aren't zombies is a big question mark, and that's for me to know and you to find out on that one. Cool. I pulled up another page that I liked because I really liked this zombie here. Well, we'll call them zombies. This, yeah, that is exactly what it is, the zygomatic arch. There is, as I say, there's too many names for these things, but I will try and mention them when I can. But I said I know that a lot of people are saying that it helps quite a lot when talking through sort of art and stuff when you're doing these sort of streams, that if you know all of the names for the anatomies, it will make it a bit easier. It's not really to try and show off, but it just means that makes explaining a little bit simpler, so you're not sat there going, oh, and then the bit that connects to this bit that then connects to this bit, and etc. So it makes it a lot easier if you know the medical definitions, but I for one don't know all of them. Don't even know that many, to be honest. I know the mastoid, that's about cranial process, that's another one. But yeah, no, Dan, it's definitely worth checking out. I think the first trade is the one that's out at the moment. I think it might still be in print for the single issues. I just put myself down at my local shop for the trades when they come out. Yes. I don't think it is Gabrielle Walter on the colouring. Let me just double check. I think it is. Yeah, Geordie Belair is the colourist for this one. And I'm actually was interested to know how much on these pages is down to the colouring and how much is actually the underlying ink work. Because I wonder whether or not something like this is all the colorist. This shape, this very Mignola-esque sort of big, bold coloring, blocked out areas. I wonder how much that is in the underlying inks. I'd really quite like sort of like a some of the new Batmans have come out with these noir editions that have the original pages sort of as printed in the story. Oh yeah, where, as I say, is your local shop? Is it in America or in the UK? Or we've got quite our local actually upgraded quite recently, which is exciting. So it used to be quite a small shop, and now it's gigantic. They managed to sort of take over a 3-floor space. It's got everything in there you can imagine, and then a very small section for comics, but they're working on it. Yeah, it definitely looks like some of the rendering is kind of shared between the two, because it's definitely some sort of like ink work that's running over, that's showing quite a lot of these underlying shapes. So like this being the deltoid even, down into your forearm, and this would all join together. Oh, Canada, nice. Whereabouts are you based up there? If you don't mind, you're obviously welcome to stay anonymous to the general Canada. I'd love to visit again. I went there about 2016 to Toronto, and I've definitely been meaning to go back. It's a beautiful country. Oh. Yeah, I think that's kind of the way that the shops are going now. They're kind of diversifying what they're selling. I think you can't, unfortunately, rely on the comic book nerds to support you anymore. You kind of have to branch out into other things, like our local shop kind of does trading cards and like all of the like events and all that stuff as well. They've got like loads of play space for all the tabletops and things. Oh, cool. Yeah, Toronto is where I was as well. And for my short stay, I was in Queen Street West. Was where I. Oh yeah, no, I've not. I literally was there for about 5 days, which is probably one of the biggest mistakes I've made. It was in and out, and then unfortunately, so I need to go for a longer stretch. Definitely on there. I really enjoy these big shapes for the forearm as well. Could even like push them even more and have on. I always try and do some drawing in cafes and stuff, but I never really managed. I get a bit too self-conscious, I find. Just end up drawing for about 15 minutes and then draw something crap and then get a bit too scared and then go home. So most of my sketchbooks, I guess, or like the better stuff, I tend to draw at home, which is a bit of a shame, but it's something that I quite like to get a bit better at, is just sketching in public. I think I actually find it easier on holiday because I'm not sort of like hanging around places that I know. Do you know what? I didn't actually remember any of the places that I went to. I went to a pizza place a ton, which was not a very good one, I've been told, but it was, we always ended up, I was working, so we were coming back quite late. I think it was coming like 6, had a big orange sign and it was like 967 or like something pizza. Always end up being camped out there at like 11 o'clock at night because I hadn't quite got over the jet lag. But yeah, it's basically kind of like the Domino's pizza of Toronto's. But yeah, like, yeah, I do like cafe hopping. We're quite lucky where we are in Bristol here. We've got lots of great cafes. Annoyingly, I just end up knowing a lot of people that either work in them or own them, so it means that we end up hanging out with your friends, so you don't really want to be drawing in front of them because they're always like, oh, what are you drawing? What are you doing? You know, everyone's too nosy. That's it, the wandering eyes, and just in case, I always wonder that someone, like, if you're drawing someone, they'll like come up to you and they'll be like, hey, don't you dare draw me, and then like try and make you, I don't know, rip your page out your sketchbook or something. Oh, yeah, it probably was called Pizza. Yeah, that's the that was my go-to spot. It's not the prettiest, but that and there was a lot of like poutine places that we went to that were up and down Queen Street. But yeah, hopefully we'll make it back this year. I did a short one-shot story for Rage Studios anthology. Rage Studios actually based in Queen Street West. They're right, I think, at the end of the road up there. So I did a one-shot 8-page comic for their recent anthology, which was just done on Kickstarter. I think a couple of months ago, maybe last month. So that should be coming to those guys pretty soon. I think you might be able to still get it through the website, everything like that. But it's exciting at times. So I do have a lot of ties to Toronto at the moment. So fingers crossed in the future we'll end up being there more often. I like this little guy as well, and this little tiny one. One of the things I enjoy the most about comics is sometimes you're really forced to get across sort of designs in a really short, small space. It's always interesting how you get that gesture across. Yeah, thank you. It's kind of like one of my first comics that I did was with Raid. And they do like small anthologies with lots of different artists from all over the world, and some famous ones as well, but also more newer sort of startups and people like myself. So it's Raid, R-A-D-E. I will drop a link in chat for you so you can check them out. I think they've got a cafe and a gallery space as well. So if you are a cafe person, that might be worth having a look. But yeah, they do all sorts of Kickstarters for like graphic novels and stuff, and they're really great. So definitely, if you're into comics and in the area, you should for sure try and get down to them. I think they've got a show at the moment with one of their artists that was also on the same book that I was working on. And this sort of like whole area is just blasted into shadow. Yeah, I think they're I'm pretty sure they're in Queen Street West, but again, my knowledge of Toronto is very, very limited, so it's even a skinnier head than that, you know. The gesture is even smaller than we were looking. Yeah, I think it's definitely a tell of how well you can get across the sort of same feeling with just the smallest shapes. A couple of lines, that little shoulder hitch. Oh yeah, I hear you. I definitely been reading a lot of manga recently, and obviously when I was younger, and then kind of just my brother was very into comics when we were growing up, and I kind of rediscovered them after going to university. So I studied animation at university, and kind of rediscovered comics and everything sort of that was lying around on the table and stuff, and when I was younger, and kind of just loved it. Kept going and started making them myself, and kind of that was all she wrote on there. And quite like just having that little small shape just from there. But yeah, no, reading manga at the moment. Actually, I'm reading Tokyo these days, which I've been really enjoying. Actually, love it. That's probably been one of my favorite books to read recently. I think the only other one I read not that long ago was a horror one. It's called Blood on the Tracks, but not read a huge amount. But if there's any that you'd recommend, I'll definitely check them out. I kind of really love these little small figures. Right, so what we'll try and do is grab some sort of reference that we can maybe use, and then we'll try and do our own kind of version of this. Yeah, there's the one thing about this sort of American comics is they're just, especially with the newer stuff that's coming out, there's so many different variants and God knows what else. So definitely, I kind of just get them to read them. Yeah, I've never read Berserk. I've not read any of the Alien comics either, but I've heard good things. Christus, if you recommend them, I'll definitely try and check them out. I've not sort of read it. I'm a bit more of sort of, not indie comics, it sounds a bit more, but like Vertigo and the sort of like Black Label comics and stuff from the early 2000s are definitely where I kind of mostly read. And in the UK we had obviously 2000 AD and Deadline magazine as well, which was sort of Jamie Hewlett, and a lot of the first appearances of like Tank Girl and all those were in that sort of stuff. So that's kind of like the British sort of comics that sort of grew up around and with. And then I say I've not read any of Berserk, but I've heard a lot of people absolutely love it, and it's one of those ones where it's kind of like, I feel like Berserk is in the same. It's kind of like in the same world as The Godfather and like these sort of cult classics, where if you kind of almost like have to like them. There isn't like any other option. You know, it's kind of like, even if they're different or whatever, maybe it's just like, because everyone loves it, there's so much like stuff around about it, you're just like, oh, okay, well, I have to enjoy it. Kind of like scared to pick it up just in case I don't like it, and then everyone thinks I have bad opinions. I'm quite an Alien fan. I watched it was one of the like more recent movies, and I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, no, I've not, other than like the original, I've not seen many of them, but I'll definitely check them out for sure. I'm always down for buying new comics, that's for certain. Right, so let's try one of our own sort of with a little bit of this flavour in it. That would be pretty cool. So I've got like a Pose reference off the internet, a good old Pinterest, and then a sort of hand shape. Let me get that shoulder in there, and then this down. It's got this kind of wide shape, round. Oh, it definitely appeals. I'm just scared to start. That's the sheer volume of novels is just incredible. I think there's like, there's I keep seeing those like tomes that they've got in the bookshops and stuff, and there's tons of it. It's kind of like almost like One Piece or something, the amount of different volumes and stuff there are. I'll tell you which ones I do want to pick up and read is Blame. I'd really like to read that one. Kind of love the sort of visual stuff for it. So definitely need to pick up that one when I next get a chance. And what other manga did I want to read? I know that Blame was definitely on my list. Quite like to read the Alice in Borderlands ones because I love the Netflix show. It was pretty crazy. So I definitely need to read some more. Yeah, Blame looks absolutely amazing. It's kind of quite a slow-paced book from my understanding. Guy was like an architect, so a lot of all of it's just like giant space stations and trying to find the net terminal gene. That was it. So I'm going to light it from this direction. Maybe I'll leave a little window here for it. Let me think about this hand. Maybe just like a yeah. I heard that all of his characters are the same person. Well, they look like the same person, so I can imagine it's very confusing. But all of the cinematics and stuff look, or sort of like world building looks amazing. There's like a awful Netflix like animation, but I kind of loved it at the same time as well. One of these sort of like slightly lower budget. Oh, was it like a old OVA, like a 90s one, or? Oh, like little short ones. Any suggestions for learning dynamic poses? Definitely my go-to is I'd have a look at David Finch has a YouTube channel, and he's got some really great videos about it, and obviously he's a lot more talented than I am and has been doing it for a lot of time. But the main thing that I would try and focus on is your like gesture poses and figures or whatever, sort of things that you're looking for. So photo references on things like Pinterest are obviously great, and then you want to be just looking at doing hundreds and hundreds of figures kind of, that are just really basic. So body, shoulders, sweep out for the arms, nothing more than this. I'm not looking for details, maybe a small hand if you've got time, and then you want to come down for where your sort of hips are, and then maybe shoot a leg out around like this, and then other leg might just be sat here, and then you'd have another gesture for the leg and foot, and then wherever it's going to be, your hip and everything there. So like super quick things like this, and then not worrying about anything more than that, because what you're really looking for is rhythm and structure. And what you tend to find, as like you can see up here, is as soon as you start doing anything a bit more drawn and rendered or whatever, everything tightens up loads and loads and loads. So it's definitely worth just loosening up and doing these super quick sort of gesture drawings at the start of your day, or when you start doing your drawing practice, and just do loads of them when you're in it's the one thing that I remember I learnt from doing some online courses with Watts Atelier is that the more starts you do, the better and easier your finishes become. So the more often you draw stuff like this and get that right, the easier it becomes when you come down to having to do like a full rendered piece, because you kind of don't have to worry so much about the sweat the small stuff sort of thing. Right, trying to get this. Not hugely in love with that shape. Maybe it's right. That's all good. No problem. Thanks for commenting. I'm here to help wherever I can. I can't attest to being too much of an expert of these things. Still always learning and trying our best, but yeah, I definitely learned a lot from Dave's videos. He's got some really good ones just on specifically stuff for comics as well. So if that's something that you're interested in drawing, and obviously applies for manga as well, if that's something that you're also interested in. So these things all kind of go across. Right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try that one again, because I don't think it's really as pushed as I hoped I could make it. So we'll try it again. Oh, right, so you sort of like have learnt stuff rather than sort of knowing a bit about the basics. I would say as well, if you're a bit of a book, maybe I haven't got it here, you can get it on Amazon, but there is a guide by Jeffrey Watts to go through George Bridgman's like anatomy studies. And what's cool about that book that Jeff did, it's kind of like a study guide to go alongside George the Bridgman stuff, because that's really boring. The Bridgman things were written in on chalkboards. They're really hard to kind of understand. So I found that Jeff did a really good job of breaking it down, but he also includes QR codes to videos of him doing the drawings themselves, and I found that super useful for trying to like work out what was going on and anatomy and stuff like that as well. So I would definitely recommend that book if you're looking to like swat up. And it's like any of these things, you're never gonna be an expert on. I still have to go back and look at anatomy all the time. Yeah, exactly, that's what I mean. So the Bridgman books were just like anatomy notes from his lectures, so they're not, they kind of have been I don't know, like to the point of they're kind of over-egged, I think, in terms of how easy they are to follow and the information that they can contain. So I would definitely recommend looking at Jeff Watts's guide if you can get hold of it. I think I got my copy on Amazon. And it wasn't crazy expensive as an art book, and it's got a ton of information in there. And I think definitely the most valuable thing for me was those QR codes to sort of like YouTube videos of him doing them. Oh, cool. Where did you study, Dan? You said, did you do animation? There's a lot of animation studios in like Quebec and stuff as well, I think. Yeah, it should be on Amazon, yeah. As I say, it's not like the most exciting book, but it definitely partakes a lot of information that I found very useful. Oh, cool. Yeah, it does feel like Canada's got a really strong animation scene. Right, trying to get a bit more of those sort of crazy shapes in there. Trying to work out where this shoulder's going to be compared to everything else. Maybe even something like this. In terms of the shape, yeah, and then we can go down here. Trying to think about these more graphic shadow shapes that I'm not used to doing. And then down. be really bold with this shadow here. And it'll be the same with whatever this hand ends up being. And find out where all these different lines are on the drawings and different layers. Clean some stuff up a little bit. Probably a bit too dark. Maybe I'll just try and bring all of that together in sort of one big shape, I'm thinking. Let's have a little look on where we are. Yeah, we'll zoom in a bit closer because it's so I'm trying to think maybe a bit more about the shape that I want for this shadow pattern for the knee. Maybe come around like this. It's going to maybe skirt around, and then you've got your kind of calf muscle here, and then we'll need to go round here into this shape, which is going to then join here. It's maybe going to come around like this. Does that read? It's kind of a bit more elongated. This knee's probably not in the right place. It's going to be like this, isn't it? I think it's more. Feels a bit better. You know, I'm not super worried about the accuracy of the drawing here. I'm just trying to get across that same feeling, just maybe with a bit more of my own sort of sensibilities in terms of pose and stuff like that as well. I really think I could probably push it even more. Might even go for a third time on this one. Well, we'll obviously put like a rock, do a Rob Liefeld, and cover that one up with a rock on there so that you can't see it. Right, we'll drop that one down again. I like that one. We'll see if I can even... Oh, awesome! I'm glad. Yeah. Dave's YouTube is definitely a wealth of resources. I would definitely recommend checking it out. That's not the way I wanted to push that. Yeah, I used to love his streams during COVID and stuff. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And hopefully see you soon on another live stream or something. Trying to do them sort of daily, so we're sort of ramping up towards my first comic that's being published. And just trying to build a bit more of a community about people who are passionate about making comic art. We've got a Discord that's sort of ever growing. It's only a small amount of us at the moment, but hopefully more in the future, where you can share your work and stuff as well. The link to that should be in the description Oh, perfect. Thanks, man. Yeah, as I say, and if you're ever on Discord or anything, definitely drop what you're working on in there. We've got like a little art share and stuff as well. You know, it's just a few of us, but it's a nice community of people who, yeah, make comics and stuff. So worth worth dropping in every so often. Right. Dun, 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 dun. So kind of got something a bit there, but I feel like I want to maybe get like a bit more of a gormless, like, you know, pose for a zombie or something that was, I don't know, we'll have a little play around and see. We can get from just a little guy. Feels like he's quite knowledgeable, this chap. But you know, I'm still pushing on there. I think that sort of thing's actually quite definitely one of the more interesting take one. Right. So what I reckon should do is we'll open up a new page so that we're not looking at any more references, because I think that's distracting me on there. And we'll start new drawing and try and work out and see if I can pull a little bit of that Gabrielle Walter stuff that we were looking at into it. I had a little bit of an attempt on that last page. That was the previous ones we've been looking at on the stream, with this sort of character here, but maybe it's not quite as pushed as I was wanting in terms of the sort of overall style. So trying to see if I can find a pose that I like. Right. So I'm going to try and light it from this direction again. Try and keep it consistent. Get that like underlying shapes. For the eye sockets, and then it's like down that overall shape for the head. It's kind of wide. Maybe we'll really elongate those arms just to try and get some crazy pose going on. That kind of shape for the hips, and down here, and like maybe a leg kind of shape. something like this. And we're going in, yeah. So really trying to push, get some of your visual perspective, like the horizon line somewhere down here. Right. I always end up working on the right hand side of the page because I've got my microphone in the middle. It always means that I end up just pushing everything on one side and then I have to check to see where all of my views are, and if you can actually see what's going on. But yeah, that one looks all right. Cool. So we'll crack on with this, and then I think after that will be all for today. But you know, we'll be back again tomorrow, hopefully. So cheek, kind of nose shape. Oh, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I've so my own comic book Fruit is definitely a lot more pushed in terms of anatomy and stuff. So I try and learn things where I can in terms of the design and shape that I can try and employ. It's always nice when I see other artists doing stuff. Oh, what was on my eraser there? So, oh, that's because I'm drawing on the Photoshop. You have fooled me for the last time. Keep drawing on my background layer when I start a new page. But yeah, I can show you some of the designs for some of my comic book characters as well, if you want, just to give you an idea of what my actual work kind of looks like. This is one that we did on one of the first streams, actually. This one is Kiwi, who's one of the characters from Fruit, and Fruit is my upcoming comic book. It's about a group of people that are on the run from death, and death is out to get them and get his revenge. So yeah, they've all got kind of these masks that keeps them safe from different spirits, and yeah, it's just like a fun comic that I kind of been working on for a while. See if I can grab. I've got a few of the first pages that I can always share. So I'll hopefully, yeah. So this is one of the first finished page. This is Cherry, who is the main protagonist character. Yeah, no worries, Dan, if you need to go. But yeah, this is Cherry. She's sort of the leader of the bunch of the Fruit team as they're on the run from death. And then this is the first page, sort of splash of her sort of running away in hot pursuit in the start of the book. And say, if you are interested in finding out more about Fruit, then please either subscribe or keep an eye out on YouTube, also on my Instagram, where you can find out more about my own personal work. Maybe I'll get that rib cage shape under here. Even push that all into shadow as well, as it joins in. And this whole shape's gonna, it's quite cool, isn't it? That, and then this big shape for the forearm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's have, I'm not, in these streams, we're not sort of focusing too much on crazy levels of detail and stuff. I'm just trying to get a little gist of maybe a gesture of a character or something that we'll be looking at. I think this is looking pretty good. I think we've got a little bit of what we were setting out to do, which was kind of get a feeling of what Gabrielle has done in their work in The Phantom Road with those characters, and then we've kind of managed to get a bit of a gist of that going in this one here. Do you think that this would be way too far down? So need to push this back. Kind of would even maybe cross over this there. And this leg in front, and then maybe even hop over to some sort of like, I don't know, this foot's probably like quite in the, definitely in the wrong place, so. No, that's just straight up going. Yeah, this shape's probably a bit too curved for the character that we were looking at, but sort of idea we're trying to go for. But I think this is kind of close to what I wanted. It has a bit of a semblance of what we were looking at in terms of our design there. Maybe we can even chuck in this maybe a bit further back, but maybe he's pointing at something. What's he pointing at? A little Christmas present. Oh god, I'm gonna have to do that in perspective. Jesus wept. Right, no. Something like this. And then you've got your I don't know who Clive Barker is, Christus. If you, I'm sure I would if you think it's close to my wheelhouse. Then yeah, if you either you can drop it in the Discord and I'll check it out as well. Oh, I am more familiar, yes. I know what you mean. I don't really remember names of artists very well, which is really bad, but maybe you should definitely focus on that. Maybe with my New Year's resolution. There you go. Little bit of storytelling. Oh, it's just something that I say, and maybe it's just a British thing. I don't know, just or just my accent. Just so I don't swear on stream is more of my try and avoid it if I can, because we are a family-friendly show here. I'm kidding. I try not to swear as much as possible, so I end up saying other stuff like Jesus wept, which it's like one of those. I think it's one of those phrases that when you actually like sit there and break it down, it's quite a weird one. But you end up just saying it so much in like common vernacular that it's not really even thought about. Thanks. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Worked out all right. So let's get that. A little bit of a calf on there. Might even drop in like a light. Ooh. It's a weird one. Light grey. Wow, that's not working at all. Let's not do that then. We could do it this way. pushed the wrong one. No, I was meant to cut it out. Jeez. I will get there one day. Right, what do I want to cut out? Trying to work out how to do this properly, but we'll get there. Right. Gonna cut him out. Cut this little section out for his legs. And then I'll just chop this last little bit out. And try again. Yeah. Why not? Couple of clouds. I would say no at the moment. I might make another one, or depends on what it is, I guess. But what I would say is, if it's something you want to share, then maybe preface like a spoiler, and you can also, I think, use a spoiler feature potentially on Discord. But yeah. Try and keep that sort of stuff to just the minimum and stuff, just because cool. So I think that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, I'm actually not sure how to use that spoiler feature either, so that's why I'll when I get it a bit more set up, I'll give you a shout and let you know about stuff that you can share and things on there as well. That's all good. Yeah, do sort of open to everyone's expression of art and stuff like that as well, but just obviously want to make sure that it's a safe space for people to be able to enjoy. And yeah, so thank you very much to everyone that joined in. Just as a recap of everything that we went over today, we started looking at some of the designs from this Jeff Lemire book, which is drawn by Gabrielle Walter. And then we did a couple more pages, designs from like Cages. We tried to work a little bit more on like a character, but I didn't really find this post to be working super well, so decided to try and pull the reference away and do our own drawing, and came up with this chap here, which is it was a bit of a fun one. You can definitely see the influence of the massive forearms and stuff from some from Gabrielle's designs and stuff as well. But yeah, thank you all for joining, and as I say, I'll be hopefully on tomorrow again, same sort of time, and I'll see you all then.